Hi, I'm Gloria and I did a thing. So here in Montreal, we're actually in our second wave of Miss Rona, which means that I had to take on another hobby during midterm season. Yes, my dudes, midterms, yes. So I decided to learn how to sew, which, let me tell you, it is not a cheap hobby. And so I bought my sewing machine, I watched the tutorials with Wendy, is my girl, and I decided to thrift flip some of my items, except that those items aren't actually thrifted, they were actually in my closet, so it's more of an upcycling video. I can't prank you there. Sorry, I wasn't wearing those items, and so I am presenting them to you in this video. I really hope you enjoy. I took a lot of time to do them, and so without further ado, let's get right into this video. Okay, so the first item we're going to look at is a camisole. So it used to be a dress, like one of those slip dresses that would go over top. They were really popular in like 2017 or something at the time I got them, and it was really, like, even when I bought it, it was really loose. It was like one size too large for me, but I had actually cut it a few weeks ago in the fit of insanity, to be quite honest with you. I was determined to make a bucket hat out of the bottom of the dress by hand, and it obviously didn't work, so here we are working with the top now. And this top that really isn't fitting right, it's kind of too large, and with the length and everything, it's kind of weird. So I decided to just adjust it, to bring some minor adjustments to make it a little more form-fitting, to make it more of a Y2k style of top. You see what I mean? And so that's what I did. I just pinned it around the waist where I wanted it to kind of cinch in, and then I drew it out with a block of soap. Yes, I know, a block of soap, but it works on black fabric. And I then put some pins along the line where I had marked, so it would be easier for me to sew. And by the way, after attaching all the pins, I did frown on the top just to make sure that I did like the fit. However, it wasn't super accurate given that the pins were kind of getting into my sides. But yeah, it kind of gave me an idea on how to adjust it. And given that it was a stretchy fabric, I did sew with ballpoint needle. I tried for regular needle, did not work. It did not work. It got me so frustrated, so just did it with ballpoint needle, and I just did a straight stitch all throughout the side of my body. Hi, friendly sewing tip. So if you do not want the seams of your clothing to be showing, make sure that you're always sewing on the outside of your clothing. Also, I decided to go with this tightest straight stitch there was on my machine, just because it's the one that they use to make my top. So friendly advice is to always look at what type of stitch was used to make your top and try to use the same one when you're doing adjustments. And after that, I still wasn't really satisfied. I think I had done like straight across, and instead I decided to go with a little more of an hourglass. Okay, and this is what the cami is looking like so far. It's definitely more tapered to my body, and I still need to do the bottom hem, and the straps still need some work, but I'm definitely more satisfied. And yeah, and after that, the straps were still way too long. I had to cut it to the length I was comfortable with. I think it was something like 6 centimeters I had to cut, something like that. I do not remember. And then I sewed them back, and then I had to do a straight stitch all from the bottom. I essentially had to fold the edge of the bottom of my shirt and do a straight stitch all across in order to make the bottom look a little more even. And when I was satisfied with the results, I was ready to cut the excess fabric, which was extremely satisfying. And yeah, this is what the top ended up looking like.
1, 2, 3, funk it.
Okay, so I have tried saying this part so many times that it is embarrassing, but essentially we are now at the part that you actually care for, which is the sweater cardigan. It started off looking like, it was kind of a weird fit, if I'm being honest. It was kind of too loose to be just an oversized sweater, but not oversized enough. Like, it was just a weird fit, and I really did not feel super great in the sweater, so I never wore it, even though it's a pretty good quality for H&M. And so I really wanted to do one of those really trendy cardigans that everyone has been doing for like the past like 7 months or something, and I don't have one, and I really wanted one. And so I was kind of stressed because it's really like a knit sweater, like, and so I was afraid that it would unravel. So I went and looked at the internet and I found a way to kind of counter that. So what I did is that on each end that I would cut, I did this zigzag stitch to kind of keep it from unraveling. You probably know this if you're an avid sewer, but if you're not, you're welcome for the tip. So yeah. Okay, so I just started out by marking where I wanted the cardigan to kind of end, and so I kind of wanted it to end at my waist. And when it came time to actually do the cut, I was extremely hesitant because the thing is that you can't actually push Command Z when you're doing a sewing project like that. When it's done, it's done. At first, I started out by cutting the bottom hem because I thought I would be conserving it, but I really didn't know how since it's kind of curved, so I ended up just not using it after all. And then I pinned around where the original pin was, and I just cut along that imaginary line. I gave myself about ½ of an inch of seam allowance, which I ended up really needing because when you sew, items always end up being shorter than you imagine them. So do not forget about seam allowance, please. I did a zigzag stitch all across the parts I had cut before, and on the bottom it left it kind of frayed, which I really like. And then when I was ready, when I finished doing the bottom hem, I zigzagged it twice, I believe, just to make sure that it was really like a pretty clean hem. I then decided to cut across the middle just to make the opening for the cardigan. And you know, just doing that opening really like made this cardigan the top tighter because I did have to take away some fabric from the middle. So make sure to think about that when you're making one of those, because it's never going to be as loose as it was before. It's definitely going to be tighter, so take that into account. And then I zigzag stitch from top to bottom, I think only once, and I wanted it to be kind of like this so that the front would be all straight, all cute, and then the inside would be, you would have the fold, right? But at first I did it kind of like this, and anyway. When it comes to the buttons, I didn't have a specific side that I wanted them on, and I found this bag of pearls at Michael's that was about $7, I think. I took the biggest ones from the pack and just put them on the side of the cardigan, and I tried to do it at the same space, at equidistance. It didn't always work out, and yeah, there wasn't a real technique in that. I just kind of sewed them in. And on the side, instead of making holes for the buttons, I actually ended up putting a string and kind of doing a loop around. You'll kind of get it more as you see the close-up, but yeah, I ended up doing more of a loop so that it kind of ties, because when I tried to do a hole inside of the cardigan, it just unraveled like crazy. So I stitched it back up and I just ended up doing a loop over so that it would kind of just close like this. And yeah, this is what the cardigan ended up looking like.
I'm good, she good, we good, it's all good.
And yeah, thank you so much for watching my video. It was really fun to do. I really hope you enjoyed. Please let me know if you want to see more of those videos. I will be happy to do them. If you have recommendations for upcoming videos, let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.
Yeah, then I woke myself up, painted the scene they got my queen bee swinging to my sonnet as I lay by. It's how I want it. In a minute she wrote something that stank good, feeling haunted the way she goes to